I feel like I'm like acting like I know how to taste soy sauce. Hey everyone, it's Christine from Dear Saturdays, and today I am going to be kicking off my soy sauce series by taste testing and analyzing 20 different kinds of soy sauces. If you're like me and you've been confused by the bazillion soy sauce options at the Korean market and you've wondered what they all taste like, you've come to the right place. After analyzing the soy sauces, I'm going to share with you which one my favorite one is of each category. But TLDR, or if you didn't watch the video or you weren't paying attention, my favorite soy sauce. So with Korean soy sauces at the grocery store, you'll find that there are three main categories. So the first is Ganjang, the second is Ganjang, and the third is Ganjang. Ganjang directly translates to soup soy sauce. It also has other names. It's the same thing as Ganjang or Ganjang, and it is a lighter soy sauce that is a little bit saltier that you use to season soups or light picklings. The second category is Ganjang, which translates to a thicker or darker soy sauce. And it basically is a sweeter, fuller soy sauce that is used primarily for braises or sauces. It's also used to dip things like mandu or dumplings, and also can be thrown in for pickling vegetables. And within the Ganjang category, there is also Yangjo Ganjang, which basically indicates from the manufacturer that it's gone through a traditionally brewed process, but nothing here indicates that a Ganjang or a soy sauce labeled as Ganjang isn't traditionally brewed. And the last category is Ganjang, which basically translates to flavored soy sauce, and it is a less salty soy sauce, and it's either blended or infused with different types of flavors. The different kinds of Ganjangs that I have today are ones that have been infused with tashima, which is basically kelp, garlic and apples, or anchovies. Before I start, I wanted to share how I'll be approaching this taste test. This test is based on my personal preferences and what I think a good soy sauce is, which is first to be able to taste the medley of flavors that come alive in the fermentation and brewing process, and second, one that strikes a good balance between the primary soy sauce flavors, which are umami, saltiness, and sweetness. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to be rating each of these primary flavors. A 1 means bad, no thanks, I don't like the balance and notes of this particular flavor, and a 5 is a fantastic, it's perfect and everything that I'm looking for. Super simple. Okay, now that's sorted out, let's get started with the Ganjangs. So I'm going to be looking at these three soy sauces in the Ganjang category. So I have two from the brand Sempyo, and the first one is just like the standard Ganjang, and then the other one is called Choseon Ganjang. It seems like it was a little bit fancier based off of the price. It's a premium naturally brewed soup soy sauce. And the last one is from a brand called Cheongjongwon. And so I'm going to be looking at these three. So I'm going to start with the Cheongjongwon soy sauce because it has the most ingredients. In terms of the way that it smells, you can definitely smell the umami flavor in the soy sauce. The saltiness definitely comes through as well. I'm going to just give it a taste now. In terms of the umami flavor, there is a lovely note of umami in it. But unfortunately at the end there is this metallic flavor that comes through that I actually don't like. It is slightly on the sweeter side as well. So if I were to rate it on a scale, the umami flavor I would say is, in terms of what I prefer, it probably hits on like a 3 out of 5, right down the middle. In terms of sweetness, there isn't that much sweetness in it, but I would say that it's a 2 out of 5 in terms of the preference and the balance for it. And the saltiness is also 2 out of 5 because the salt is very, very overpowering. And I understand that Ganjang is pretty salty, but that's actually like all you taste in this one. And then the metallic flavors. I'm going to move on to the Sempyo Ganjang now. This one's really interesting because you can definitely smell a yeasty quality coming through in the soy sauce. It kind of smells a little bit like alcohol as well. And you can smell the umami in this as well. You can definitely tell that it is soy sauce. But it smells pretty balanced actually. Okay, this one isn't as salty as the Cheongjongwon soy sauce. It's actually pretty good. The umami flavors are also really lovely in this. There's a hint of sweetness which is nicely balanced. And the saltiness is also great. I actually really like this Ganjang. I would say that in terms of the preference for the sweetness, I would say that it's a 4.5 out of 5. The saltiness is also 4.5 out of 5. It is very nice and rounded and balanced in terms of the salinity in this. For umami, I would say that it's actually a 5 out of 5. It is really, really nice. I can actually taste those flavors coming through, and it's not just salt water, so that's a good sign. The last one is a Chosun Sempyo soy sauce, and this one has the fewest ingredients, so I'm actually really excited to try it. Whoa! That is really, really jam. It's very salty. And I don't really know if I taste anything else. Let me just give that one more go. Okay, I know that that is one of the more expensive soy sauces, and it has the fewest ingredients, but all I really taste is salt. So I guess if you just need a substitute for salt, you can just use that. For the salt preference in this, I'm going to start there. I would give it probably a 1 out of 5 because that really is all you taste. There is a slight umami note that comes through that I thought would come through a little bit more stronger in the taste versus when I was smelling it. I would give it a 2 out of 5. And then in terms of the sweetness, there is a tad hint of sweetness, but again, it's so overpowered by the salt, so I would say that I would give that a 2 out of 5. Alright, so I'm going to move on to the Ganjang now, and I'm going to start with the Yangjo Ganjang, which is the traditionally brewed soy sauces. Where I'm going to start is with the soy sauce that has the most ingredients, so that was the Sing Song soy sauce. This actually smells pretty sweet. Okay, I'll try it. Well, I don't know how I feel about this one. There's a very strong flavor of umami that's coming through. Well, what's in here? Okay, that makes sense. There's MSG in here, so that's probably the umami flavor that I'm tasting, and it's also pretty sweet too. I feel like the additives are kind of covering up for the quality of the soy sauce, and that's all I really taste is just the sweetness and the umami, but I can't really taste anything else beyond that. So in terms of the sweetness for the preference, I would say that it's 3 out of 5. The umami is very strong, but it isn't like the other umami flavors that I've tasted. I would give it probably a 3 out of 5 as well. And then for the saltiness, it's not that salty. So I would also give this one a 3 out of 5. It's pretty average. In terms of the next soy sauce I'm going to taste is a Sempyo 701. I'm going to just taste it now. This one's really good. There's this like wheat flavor, this yeastiness that comes through. The umami is really nice and balanced. The sweetness is also really nice and balanced too, and it feels like it's all blended together very cohesively. And the saltiness isn't that overpowering either, so I actually really like this one. I would say in terms of sweetness, for the preference and the balance, the overall quality, I would say it's a 4.5 out of 5. The umami flavor is also really good too. I'd say it's a 5 out of 5. And then in terms of the sweetness, umami, and then the saltiness, it's very balanced too. I would say it's a 4.5 out of 5. So this one's actually really good. All right, last one. It smells very rich and deep. The couponeer soy sauce, you can really smell the difference of the soy sauce between the other two that are commercially available. Again, as a reminder, this is a small batch Yangjo traditionally brewed soy sauce. It's a little bit saltier than the other two. With the sweetness, I'll start, it's a 5 out of 5. The umami is also 5 out of 5. And then the saltiness, because it is a little bit saltier, I would say that it's a 4 out of 5. I'm moving on to the actual Ganjangs now. I'm going to start with the Ganjang one. This one's really interesting. There's a lot going on here in terms of what you taste. It isn't as balanced as the Sempyo 701 Ganjang. So there is also a lot of sweetness to this one too. So I'm going to just say that it's a very unbalanced soy sauce in terms of what I'm tasting. I really don't like the saltiness in this one, so I would give it a 2 out of 5. The umami flavor is nice in this one, but it is so off the spectrum compared to just having a more cohesive flavor balance. So I would give this one like a 2.5 out of 5. And in terms of the sweetness, it's also very sweet. But I think that's something that you should expect out of a jinganjang. It's a little bit sweeter than your typical gukganjang. So I would give this one like a 4 out of 5 in terms of the sweetness and the balance that you'll find in it. We're moving on to the rich and mellow Sampyeon soy sauce. This one smells really interesting. Okay, it definitely is a lot sweeter than the Yangjo Ganjang. There is this weedy and tangy flavor that comes through with this one. And I would say overall it is a balanced soy sauce. We'll start with the sweetness. I would say it's a 4 out of 5. The umami flavor is also probably a 4 out of 5. And the saltiness, I would say, isn't as salty as I would want it to be, so I'll give this one a 3 out of 5. All right, we're down to our last jinganjang, which is the rich and savory one. Okay, clean. Whoa, this one is really funky and also very sweet. In terms of the sweetness, I would give it a 3 out of 5. It's a little bit sweeter than the rich and mellow one. The umami, it is probably a 3 out of 5. The flavors are actually all over the place, and I think that it might be a little bit more overpowering in your dishes compared to the rich and mellow ones. All right, so we're down to our last category of ganjang, which is ganjang. In terms of tasting the ganjang, you can't really compare the three across the board because they're so different, but I'll just describe what they taste like as I go. Starting with the Tashima Ganjang. It smells nice and rounded. Surprisingly, it has half the level of sodium as the Yangjo Ganjang, but it is pretty salty. You taste a little bit of the Tashima, but it's not as clear to me. This actually really doesn't tell me that there's Tashima in it by tasting it. All right, we'll move on to the ganjang from Sampyeon. Ooh, this one smells gingery, a little spicy. This one's very fun. If you want to cut corners in cooking, you'd probably just use this. There is this like gingery sweetness that comes through, and there's also that soy flavor, which is nice and balanced. And then the ganjang, which is like a fishy ganjang. Smells very fishy. That one's wild. It's acidic, it's fishy, it's super pungent and flavorful. And you probably want to use this in very small doses, but the flavor is really good. I can't really rate the ganjangs as I mentioned, but I just wanted to taste and describe to you what I understand from these 3 different soy sauces. Cool. Crazy, right?
Like consistently all across the board.
TLDR, or if you didn't watch the video or you weren't paying attention, my favorite soy sauces across all 3 categories between gukganjang, Yangjo Ganjang, and jinganjang is Sampyeon soy sauces. I picked different brands, but overall, all the soy sauces that I tasted, Sampyeon won in all the categories. So starting with gukganjang, there was actually a more premium version, but I prefer the regular version over the premium one. For the Yangjo Ganjang, you really can't compare the Kubonir versus 701 Ganjang. They're just completely different. So for the Kubonir small batch soy sauce, you want to use this for like drizzling purposes as you would with a very fancy olive oil. And then for the 701, it is more for an everyday application, but it is the best tasting one out of the others that we tried. And then the last one is Ganjang, which is a little bit sweeter and darker. The Senpyo Ganjang actually tasted the most balanced out of all the other ones that I did taste. So to make things easier for the next time you go to H Mart, just pick these 3 soy sauces when you're cooking with Korean food. So my lips are super salty right now and I'm gonna be super puffy tomorrow. I have to hydrate based off of all of the sodium that I just consumed. But hopefully you enjoyed my very unprofessional and subjective taste test with all of these soy sauces. I'm going to be continuing my soy sauce series by using soy sauce in different applications in Korean cooking, so stay tuned for that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next videos. Bye!
Cool.
I'm going to take a nap on the soy sauce. Okay, actually I'm kind of curious.
Alright, do it. It's still recording.
Alright, I stole some soy sauce packets from Whole Foods to see if there is a difference in taste. Alright, let's do this. This is Yamasa soy sauce, and there is water, wheat, soybeans, salt, and alcohol. So this is not good. It's because it doesn't have all the other additives in it, but this is really salty and very just, there's nothing else here but salt and water.
You need some cornstarch. Or corn
I
syrup.
need some high fructose corn syrup and oyster extracts and MSG. Alright,